Lately, I've been pushing the idea of incidental training. The idea is that you perform exercises wherever you are, whatever you're doing. That might mean that you make a movement more difficult by pistol squatting down to the ground to pick something up instead of bending over. Or it might mean that you just do 5 pull-ups when you're walking through any doorway and thereby use greasing the groove to improve your pull-up technique and your max count. You can stretch whilst you're watching TV, you can do curls whilst the kettle's boiling, and by constantly moving your body like this, like an animal, you'll build far more strength, far more endurance, and feel better than ever. Most of us know this intuitively, or we at least know that we should train more, so why don't we exercise as much as we know we should? The problem is for a lot of us that we just lack invigoration, we just feel tired, we feel exhausted all the time. If I told you right now that I wanted you to go and do some Spider-Man crawls in the garden outside, just 20, then maybe the very thought of that would make your toes curl. You might feel weak, you might feel off balanced, you might feel too tired. What's the reason for this? Well, I assumed that it had to do with just being overtired or overstressed, but I did some research and actually the studies tend to show that being tired, as in sleep deprived, doesn't make us any physically weaker. It only slightly hurts our endurance, and this comes down more to psychological factors such as motivation. So if being tired doesn't make you weaker, then why do you feel stiff and achy and lethargic whenever you think of working out? Why do you have to G yourself up to one big workout? Why does it take ages to rev yourself up to it like a cold engine? The reason is just that, you are like a cold engine. You're not exercising enough through the day, you're not even moving enough through the day. If you spend all day sitting at a desk, sitting on the sofa, standing at the kitchen, you're barely moving your body, and what happens is that you actually lose that connection to the muscles. They build up a kind of residual tension, more tonus than is needed to just maintain your posture. This is made worse by psychological stress, which most of us go through in droves each day, and by the fact that we're just so out of practice. Eventually, this lack of movement can lead to a complete loss of awareness of specific muscle groups, leading to awkward patterns of activation that cause tightness, poor movement patterns, and discomfort. This can be both acute or chronic. The latter is sometimes referred to as sensory motor amnesia, which is a term coined by Thomas Hanna, creator of somatics. Warming up, whilst a nice idea in theory, is something that no animal in the animal kingdom ever does. You never see a dog limber up before it chases prey. If it had to, the prey would get away. If you think about any animal, if you have a pet, then you'll notice that when they wake up in the morning, the first thing they do isn't to bend over and touch their toes and hold it for 2 minutes. No animal in the animal kingdom does that. Instead, they stretch out their spine just for a couple of seconds. You see them reach up to the sky like they're doing yoga and then get on with their day. They're not actually stretching here. What they're actually doing is something called pandiculation. Pandiculation is slightly different from a stretch. In a stretch, you move the limb or the body part outside of your normal range of motion. That causes a contraction in the muscle, a stretch reflex, and you have to try and resist this in order to increase your mobility. This does nothing to relieve tension, has nothing to do with your vigoration. On the other hand, pandiculation means that you're tensing the muscle and then lengthening it and then releasing it. This is what happens when you yawn or you stretch. When you yawn, that's actually a pandiculation of the respiratory muscles, and what's happening is that you're contracting and lengthening your jaw muscles, your neck muscles, and even your intercostal muscles. This is a kind of stretch, but it has a different purpose. The idea here is to fire up that part of the motor cortex, to remind it where that muscle group is, to give it more control over it, to prime it ready for movement, and at the same time to listen to the feedback from the muscle, to regain that sensory input. Because your muscles, remember, are sensory organs. They provide us with proprioception, your muscle spindles, and your Golgi tendon organ. Our body uses these to know where it is in space, to know how tense you are, to know your position, your posture, to create that mental map of your body. So like I say, when you don't use the muscle all day, you actually forget how to use it. And at the same time, you actually get a buildup of tension, which makes it much harder to activate in future. You feel stiff, you feel tense, you feel tired, and when you think about moving, you feel wobbly and offset and jittery. By performing these pandiculations, what you're doing is reminding your body where the muscle is and also releasing that tension by consciously relaxing the muscle. So don't just yawn, yawn with your whole body. Stretch out your toes in the morning, stretch out your arms, stretch out your chest, push your chest together, just contract and stretch. If you struggle to visualize what this should be like, then try yawning at the same time and you'll get more of an idea. It should feel good, it should feel like an amazing release. So next time you're thinking, man, I could do 10 push-ups now, but you don't have that energy or that sense of control, do some pandiculation for your chest, for your shoulders, for your legs, stretch yourself out and yawn. Suddenly you might feel that you have the invigoration you need to go ahead and do it. This is also fantastic before bed because it helps to relax your muscles. You'll sleep far better, once again, just like your dog or cat, which never seems to have any trouble waking up in the night to go to the toilet. And perhaps the best part of all is that if you do this regularly throughout the day and make it a habit, then you'll eventually start to improve your proprioception, Because you're doing it all the time on a habitual basis, you gain permanent greater control over that muscle and permanent greater connection to the sensory information coming in. You'll gain that childlike movement that they teach in Shaolin. You'll be ready like a coiled spring to launch into action at any time, and you don't have to stretch and touch your toes for even a second. The other key is to keep moving throughout the day. Don't spend 23 hours sitting completely still and 1 hour working out at the gym. The aim here is not to do loads of workouts throughout the day and intensively push yourself with no chance of recovery. Instead, we're simply moving the muscles to remember they're there, to cement new skills, and possibly even to slightly improve muscle protein synthesis. The world around us has been designed to make movement unnecessary. Everything is at the right height for us. Many tasks can be completed while sitting. We need to move in spite of this fact, and thereby keep our bodies limber, fired up, and ready to go whenever we need them. Basically, this becomes a virtuous cycle. You're probably just out of the habit of moving, but the more you move, the easier it becomes to exercise when you want to actually have a workout. And that in turn means you're more likely to work out, which makes it easier to move whenever you want to. So give it a go, let me know what you think. If this is something you do already, then comment down below and let me know if it's worked for you. And I look forward to reading your comments. Hope you enjoyed this quick little tip. Stay tuned for more like this and much bigger videos on the way soon. Subscribe as well, of course, if you want to get more. And check out the links in the description down below for my ebook and program, as well as the website The Bioneer. Thanks a ton for watching, and bye for now.